markers of slave trade are uncovered. The horror that was the slave trade was finally abolished in 1807, but trafficking between the Caribbean islands continued until 1811. It was not until 1833 that an act was passed.
Slaves that were captured were treated horrifically, cramped into small spaces as they were being transported, thrown overboard if they were too old or unwell, and when they finally arrived at their destination, they were sold off at auction like cattle. So it was no wonder that the slave trade needed to be abolished. But it wasn't an easy battle.
You may be asking yourself, why did people want trafficked slaves if it was such an inhumane action? The reason for this was purely because major people from the Western world thought the slave trade was perfectly normal. Slaves were treated as cargo, not human beings. So it only seems normal to own a slave. It is just like having a kid.
We have been studying the abolishment for many years and have found out that the abolishment of the slave trade stemmed from one man in particular, Thomas Clarkson.
That's right, Thomas Clarkson. After he had travelled to the West Indies to gather information for a report that he was writing, he finally realised the true colours of the slave trade. So he delved deeper, and after he had found out enough information and evidence, he went back to England and started to tell people what he had witnessed.
A minority of people began to realise and see what Clarkson had witnessed. These iconic people included Granville Sharp, William Wilberforce, the Quakers, Mary Burkitt, Hannah More, and Mary Wollstonecraft. So it was not only men who were doing all the hard work. Although they did work incredibly hard, it was women as well.
Everybody that was part of the anti-slave trade campaign played their own role in the gathering evidence. They also told people what the slave trade was really like, so they could persuade them to vote against the slave trade.
When they finally gathered enough evidence to put forward a case to abolish the slave trade, they took it to the House of Lords, where they received a majority of 40 votes to 20. And when they took their case to the House of Commons, they had a staggering 114 votes to 15.
So, Britain decided to abolish the slave trade with the Slave Trade Act in 1807, which included penalties of up to £100 per slave if the British captains were found importing them. However, this didn't stop the slave trade. Captains were known to have thrown slaves overboard if they were in danger of having to pay the fine.
Some people involved in the anti-slave trade campaign argued that the only way to end the suffering of slaves was to make slavery illegal. A new anti-slavery society was formed in 1823 and members included Thomas Clarkson, William Wilberforce, Elizabeth Hayrick, Mary Lloyd and James Smith. So after years of slavery, the British Parliament finally saw sense and passed the Slavery Abolition Act in 1833. The Act gave all slaves in the British Empire their freedom. Thank you for watching and good night. Some people